Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We're just going to take a minute here and let people come in. Hi, Bina. Hi, Dan, Michelle, Jennifer, Monique. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Hi, Austin. Good morning, everyone. We'll just take a couple more seconds here and we will start once everybody gets in. All right, it is about time and we shall get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's RPO Leadership Forum, Navigating RPO, the Roadmap to Recruitment Process Outsourcing. This is Lamis Abu Rama with the Recruitment Process Outsourcing Association and host of the RPO Leadership Forum. If this is your first time on our program, welcome. For our returning audience, welcome back. We're excited you could join us and hope you'll find today's webinar informative. The webinar is being recorded. You will receive the recording within 24 hours. We encourage you to ask questions during the webinar using the Q&A function. And with the conclusion of the housekeeping announcements, it is my pleasure and honor to welcome a returning speaker to the RPO Leadership Forum. Mike Brann is Director of Development at Broadleaf Results. Specializing in RPO, MSP, and strategic workforce planning, Mike leverages over 15 years of industry experience. He provides vision and thought leadership to propel Broadleaf's expansion and innovation as a total talent management provider. A lifelong member of the staffing industry, Mike has held prominent roles at several national talent acquisition organizations, including previous stops at Kelly OCG and Indeed. Broadleaf is a gold member of the RPO Association, and we value their support and their partnership. With that, welcome, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for that nice introduction. And happy to be speaking today. We're going to be going through a roadmap to recruitment process outsourcing, RPO. As Lamise mentioned, we do have the ability in the Q&A to throw questions up there. I probably will not get to those during the presentation, but it's about a 20-25 minute presentation. So we'll leave a little bit of time at the end and feel free to ask any questions and I'll do my best to answer them. Very excited about today's webinar. So let's get right into it. So let's talk a little bit about Broadleaf and who we are and what we do as a company. Broadleaf is a total talent management company that's part of the Aileron Group. We've been around for over 60 years, so we're not new to the market, and we're one of the founders in the VMS market in the total talent space. So we bring a ton of experience to the table. We've actually also been delivering high impact hiring programs, RPO programs, large scale, small scale, all across the board for over 11 plus years now. As you can see on the left-hand side, we do have an over 96% customer satisfaction rating. That's huge for us. We really tout that. It shows that our customers enjoy working with us and recruits enjoy working with us as well. We have full dedicated recruitment teams across the spectrum, and we do it for a wide variety of industries. So we have specialists in each one of the verticals that we recruit for, and we'll discuss that a little bit further. And one of the things that's really key right now in the RPO industry is improving candidate quality. I'm going to dive into that a little bit deeper as we go along in this presentation, but candidate quality is one of the top ticket items right now, and so we'll address that. We are proud to be a woman-owned business, so we are WeBank certified, as you can see on the bottom left. And we have a very active, Lynn Marie Finn is our CEO, very active in the company, privately held business. And so we definitely are a key player in that market. As you can see down below, those are a bunch of our awards. We're consistently rated as in the Baker's Dozen with HRO Today, with SIA as a top staffing company in Global Power 150. So as you can see, we're definitely one of those businesses that's been around and does quality work. At Broadleaf, what we typically like to talk about is our total talent solutions. And this is our talent wheel. This is the products and services that Broadleaf is, that myself and my team are constantly out in the market talking to companies about how we can help with their total talent strategy. It's not just one area. So I'm going to walk around the wheel real quick, just to give a little bit of a description for each, and then we'll move on. So most of you know managed service programs, or MSPs, large scale companies where we're providing their single source outsourcing, and we're bringing in the staffing companies to supply through them. We also do ICC compliance, or independent contractor compliance. We have a host of technology solutions. We're a VMS agnostic company. We were one of the founders in the industry. We've since sunsetted our solution, and we have preferred relationships with the top 5-6 VMS partners out there. We have a host of ATS and recruiting tools that we work with, top of the industry. We also do a ton of SOW, statement of work is what that means, in procurement management. A big ticket item for us right now, we're seeing a large uptick in this, is employer of record services, or payrolling. So Broadleaf is a great company to speak to about that, and I'd be happy to follow up with anybody about our payrolling services. And keep in mind, all of the spend is diverse spend because we are WeBank certified. And then what's hotter than ever, why everyone's on this call today, and why it's the big thing that's going on right now, is recruitment process outsourcing, or RPO. I'll get into a little bit of a description about that, but I would have to say that in the last, and I know Lemiz has been, we've all had these conversations in the last year. This is literally every conversation we're having every day. So yes, we are still working on our MSP programs globally, but RPO is the constant conversation I'm having on a daily basis. A little bit about LRM Group, just real quickly. We have over 3.5 billion in spend, and as you can see, these are our companies. We have Akara, which is our traditional contingent labor contract staffing company. Broadleaf is the total talent management arm. TalentRise being our executive search and retained search company. And then we also have Broadleaf India. So we actually do have offices over in India that we own 100% of, and we do MSP, RPO out of there too. And so as we start to talk about our total talent management solution, we will look to leverage our India offices whenever necessary for our outsourcing needs when it comes to filling the top of the funnel. As you can see below, we work with over 10,000 suppliers being staffing companies, and we have operations and country services of over 35. So what to expect and inspect before starting the RPO journey. It is a journey. It's not something you can just turn a light switch on real quick and just all of a sudden you're up and running with an RPO. There's lots of things that you need to consider. And especially with everything that's been changing recently, things are changing at a very rapid pace. We're seeing companies want to turn the spigot on much quicker than they have before, receive qualified candidates, and fighting over candidates because not everyone's returning to work. The Great Resignation, I know we've all discussed this and heard this before, that's still out there. And what we're also seeing is we're not seeing everyone return back to work that we thought would return to work. So we've got some stats out there that we've been looking at, and it's really interesting. We're not seeing the amount of people come back into the workforce that we would have expected, which then decreases the labor pool. And so it becomes a much more competitive environment. Changing candidate demands, that means salary, but it doesn't just mean salary. It doesn't mean just pay. It comes down to benefits, work remote, work-life balance, culture, things that are incredibly important to candidates. You're not just able to contact somebody and have them join just because of pay. There's lots of additional demands, childcare, you name it. Labor shortage is expected to continue for the next 3 to 5 years. It's not something we all want to hear, but it is why an RPO makes the most sense, because an RPO provider has access to that labor pool, whereas a company has access to their own specific labor pool. We're reaching out to we're casting a much wider net. So how can a recruiting team best move forward in this difficult labor market? It really is. So we do a flash survey. So I'm going to pose the question. You're welcome to, throw it into the chat, whatever you want. But for those on the call today, and for those that are watching this video down the road, what do you think is the biggest hiring challenge that you're facing today? Is it your hiring volume? And that's key, because companies are scaling up. Is the quality of talent pool? Is it the time to hire, the amount of time that you're spending to actually get a candidate in the door? Or is it the cost per hire? And I would say all 4 of these things are major obstacles that each one of you are facing on a daily basis. And so in our flash survey, as I mentioned earlier, 54% responded that it's the quality of the talent pool. My opinion on that is this. I think because we're seeing such a labor shortage, whereas you before could cast a net on 50 candidates for your one role, now you're casting that net to 10 candidates. And so your quality is going down in that regard, and you're having to work with less. So in order to succeed, you've got to cast a wider net. You've got to find more candidates. There are candidates out there, but just popping up a job posting, opening up a rec on your own, that's not how you're going to find success. Working with a recruitment firm that specializes in total talent management is your best foot forward. So let's talk about what an RPO is. Recruitment process outsourcing solutions allow businesses to tap into external hiring experts for some or all parts of the recruiting and hiring process. That's a key point. A lot of people, I would say 3 years ago, not everyone understood what an RPO is. An RPO can be whatever you want it to be with the company you're working with. If a RPO is out there just selling a very specific boxed product that can't be managed or opened up and looked at in different ways, it's probably not the best solution, because the labor market's changing. So why would you not change your style for an RPO? You can have an RPO be something as simple as a sourcing and screening model, all the way to a full-blown outsource model. So what is it effective? What does an RPO do for you? It increases the bandwidth of your internal recruiting team. It allows your internal recruiters to become more effective because they have more resources. It also helps accommodate unexpected hiring increases. This is commonly known as a flex RPO. And that means you might have in next quarter where your hiring demands have gone up, but you don't expect that to continue. Well, it doesn't typically make sense to go out and hire recruiters to only then let them go after you've met your demand. So an RPO is a scalable, flexible solution. It also allows you to infuse best practices into recruiting processes to attract talent. A widget company is really good at making widgets, but they might not necessarily be great at hiring. Look for a company that's all they do, that they live and breathe hiring and recruitment. There's 4 types of RPO that Broadleaf typically talks about, and that I typically work with customers on a daily basis. And as I mentioned earlier, you can work with multiple ones. It really comes down to what's your best strategy for your total talent management. On demand, so that's on demand is going to be more of helping us scale up real quickly. We need people, we need to do this in the next quarter. How do we go about doing that? That's called an on demand. So you're not locked into a long-term contract or extreme fees. Project-based RPO. So that's best for support. Project-based is you're opening a new plant in Indiana and you need help with just that plant in that project. So you outsource that project, that SOW to an RPO company. An enterprise RPO. So that's best for efficiency. That's looking at overseeing the entire enterprise of your operations with your recruiting functions. And then a total talent, which I referred to earlier, that's best for an overall strategy on moving forward basis. And that's going to be companies that have an MSP in place, but are also looking to outsource some of their roles, maybe the professional roles, and leaving the MSP in place for their hourly roles. But again, you can work with each one of these and make it fit for your company. So how often are you hiring the qualified talent that you need? Another question that we asked. Before we even answer, I'm sure everyone on the call, if they say always, they're probably lying, and I'd be lying to you too. So we ran this survey and here's what we got. A little shocking. Most of the time they are hiring the quality talent you need. And in their previous survey, they mentioned that the quality of the talent pool is difficult. So what this shows is that yes, they are finding the people. It sort of is even throughout this, but what's clear to me, what pops out to me is not the 35%, meaning 75% of the time. To me, what I look at is the bottom two numbers, sometimes and not enough. Because sometimes and not enough, that means your operations shut down. That means you're not able to continue operating your business in the efficiency that you want to. So those are critical numbers. And that's why working with a total talent provider, a RPO solution, can help you fill your needs on an ongoing basis and on a project basis, or even on a time basis. These are things that we talk about constantly, and it's a conversation that I have with every company that I'm meeting with on a weekly and daily basis. So what are the benefits? And I really want to highlight that word of an RPO partnership. It is a partnership. It's definitely not something that you just call a company. It's not a pest solution that you would call, pay them, and have them leave. It's a partnership. You're making them a part of your company. They are an RPO. We are an extension of you, and we are your face to the recruitment industry. And so if we're out there putting out a bad image of your company, it's doing you guys a disservice. So we improve your operational efficiency. We will step in there and help you guys with your operations when it comes to recruitment. We're helping time savings. To go out and hire a recruiter and get them up to speed in your company and have them operating the way in which you would want, you're looking at minimum 6 to 9 months. We have recruiters that are already recruiting in your industry that are ready and waiting to hop on board and help you. Cost containment. This is a way where you can be flexible. As we mentioned earlier, you can turn it on, turn it off. Hiring flexibility, versatility. Another good point, we're able to be much more flexible than you might be with your own internal team. Improving candidate quality. There's a lot of things that you might not know that are out there that we see are best practices at some of our other engagements that we can bring to the table for you. Greater compliance. Again, that's one of the obvious things. We are also giving you access to the latest tools and technologies. We pay a lot of money for our tools, and they are best in the market tools. We expect results from them. So we bring those to the table. And so when we're working with some of the same tools that we bring to our largest customers, we bring those to every single RPO. We have that ability to do so. And lastly, we're helping you develop and customize a hiring strategy that works for you. And we are able to sit down at the table and say, your competitor down the street is kicking your butt right now because here's what they're doing, and we can bring that to the table for you. You might not never know that unless you were working with us. We also enable total talent acquisition with direct sourcing. It's something that we've been talking about a lot more. So direct sourcing software platforms that connects companies and job seekers. It's essentially a talent cloud, and it's bringing in online communities of engaged and qualified candidates. There's referral networks. LiveHire is one of our preferred partners that we're working with for our direct sourcing software platform. So we're, again, another tool. We're bringing more and more tools to the table, but ultimately tools are only good if they're bringing candidates to the table. And we're only taking on projects right now. And I know a lot of our competitors are the same way, where we can be successful. So if we will have an honest conversation with you and let you know what makes the most sense right now, because we only want to be in a partnership relationship with you and be providing the talent that you need on a timely basis and competitive basis. So let's ask one more question. What do you want most in a hiring solutions partner? Are you looking for better access to talent, seems obvious. Are you looking for a cost value proposition? Are you looking to save money, or are you looking to scale in some ways? Are you looking for hiring agility? Are you looking for, as I mentioned earlier, scalability, where you can bring us in quickly or bring a company in quickly and then potentially be able to move on from them after they accomplish the task? Or are you looking for access to technology tools like a live hire, like a VMS, like a Indeed, all of those tools? So we ran that flash survey, and this one's not a shocker. This is why we're in business, and this is why you're on this webinar, and this is why companies are looking to use total talent providers like Broadleaf. They're looking for better access to talent. Our ATS systems are filled with talent and labor that you do not have access to currently. That's what an RPO is out there to do. They're there to provide access to the talent. And so working with a company like Broadleaf is definitely a step in the right direction for an RPO solution. And I know we've got about 4 minutes, so I'll get through a couple of these slides. 3 must-haves for a successful RPO engagement. Integration is key. Integration is where it's all at. If an integration is botched, it definitely slows down the timeline and it screws up the SLAs and what you're looking for. So a seamless integration. And how do you get a seamless integration? Well, it's not a guarantee, but working with a company like Broadleaf and some of our integration teams, and there's a full process, there's a full timeline, there's a full breakdown, and we walk through that before we even step into an engagement. You'll understand what you're getting day by day, week by week, and when you can start to expect results. And then we'll hold ourselves accountable during our QBRs, during our projects, to show you what we're delivering. We also have constant communication. So if something's not working, we're working with you to make sure that we fix that process. So a seamless integration. Mutually agreed upon rules of engagement. That's another really good one. We need to understand what you're going to be doing while we're working on your behalf. So we don't want to necessarily compete for the same talent. We don't want to be out there representing you and then you're also trying to represent yourself at the same time. It's important you just really have an understanding of you're either outsourcing the roles, or we're working in tandem with you, or we're working within your ATS and we're getting your email addresses. It's really important that we have those in our SOWs, so you completely understand what we both expect from this. And then trust, really what it boils down to. Establishing trust, that's a big word for me and for our company. You have to trust your RPO. You have to trust that they're out there in the community spreading the word that it's a great opportunity to work for your company. So establishing trust, and how you do that is showing results over time. Really, that's what it boils down to. So those are 3 must-haves that we really believe in wholeheartedly. I came at the end, so I think I did spare a couple minutes through the presentation. I see we do have some in the Q&A and some in the chat. So what I'll do is I'll turn it over to Lamise to sort of be the moderator on those. I appreciate everyone's time. My email address is right there. If you have any questions, I'm happy to hop on a call, a video chat, and walk you through them. We do RPO analysis and also total talent analysis on a daily basis. So I'm happy to answer any questions that any of you might have.
Thank you, Mike. And we do have a couple of questions. First one is, what does a healthy integration looks like?
Healthy integration is understanding, so working with the integration team. So you're going to want to know who from, so at Broadleaf, you're going to, as we walk along that path together, we're going to be introducing you to different people within our company that take the reins on that, and they will walk you through and understand it's a matrix. And it shows, it's a project matrix, and it shows each step of the way, and not only when it will be accomplished, but who's responsible for it and how they'll go about accomplishing it. And it's a way to keep each other on track at each step of the way. And they're all, we do this on every engagement. So it's proven, and it's important that you have that in place.
And I like the next one because I'm curious about this as well. You mentioned suppliers that were staffing partners. I think you mentioned like 1,000 or so that Broadleaf has. What do you typically use them for, and what that relationship look like?
Yeah, so as an MSP provider, the way that that works is we'll go into a engagement and we will become the single source provider for that company. And so, and then we will utilize our whichever technology platform, VMS, we decided to use. We will bring that in. And so all the staffing companies, whereas before they were all trying to staff into that customer, now they're all going through us and through the VMS platform. What we do, we have over 10,000 staffing suppliers in our network that staff into our MSPs globally. And we rate them and we grade them and we meet with them on a quarterly basis during our QBRs. They're all scored. And so as a result, what we're doing is we're constantly checking the systems and our tickler systems to make sure we have the best companies. Now, another key point is it does not make sense to have 50 companies in a local area all trying to go through. So what we typically do is we come in, we recommend specific companies that we've had a great relationship with that scored very well. We also we also integrate and bring in some of the staffing suppliers that were already in that network that were highly recommended by the customer. And then we pare that down. And ultimately what you're doing is you're getting 3 to 5 staffing companies working on a labor pool to try and fill a need versus 25 in a market. And when you can do that, that's when you start to see results. And then the cream really rises to the top because now you have 3 to 5 companies that are really good staffing suppliers. And that's a need that they can fill.
Mike, I think this is the next question is a follow-up on the one you just answered. And the question is, how does a vendor funded versus client funded affect supplier engagement in today's market?
That's a really great question. So as you can imagine, almost every company is looking to have the suppliers fund the model. So that's the really good companies out there, the really good staffing suppliers, they build that into the equation. One thing that we do is when you bring in an MSP, it's a way to balance out your rate card. So you might be paying different rates to all these different staffing companies. And what we're able to do, and it's an MSP's role, is to come in and balance the rate card and get everyone on one single rate. What that allows everyone to do is everyone that's playing in that game, in that sandbox, they all understand that they're paying that fee and they have the choice to either join that or not. It's a business decision that they can make. Now, the upside is they're allowed to then, you get more volume, you're going to get more recs. So it's a way to combat that fee by getting more volume in the program.
Very good. And I really like the audience engagement today because we're getting tons of questions. So if you don't mind, I have a couple more from the audience.
Absolutely.
The next question is, how do you tackle the conversation when you and your client are competing for the same talent?
Okay, so
how do you explain it in a way that makes sense to them?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, and that actually highlights on the slide earlier where it's making sure that you're aligned on that, right? It's open communication is the key. We will go into engagements and we'll be very specific and we will lay it out. We either are or are not competing against you, but if we're competing against you, then we really want to understand and be in sync with you to make sure that we're not touching the same talent pool. And there's ways you can do that through the systems. We can send over, or we can hop into your ATS to understand who you are going after, and we'll stay away from those candidates. When it comes to RPO, if you're looking at a full outsource solution and you're doing what's considered to be an open and closed model, where you're paying a fee and you're giving us that requisition, well, we're going to want to attack the majority of the talent pool. Now, if it comes to we're working on, what's considered a time and materials basis, where you're just essentially contracting with us to help fill the top of your funnel, we're happy to just remain in constant communication to make sure that we're not stepping on each other's toes.
The next question touches on something you mentioned, Mike, and it's related to ATS. And the question is, do you always use the client's ATS for running advertisements?
No, we don't always use it. It's really, and that's why I said earlier, it's important to have that open dialogue we're willing, a good RPO like Broadleaf is willing to work. We want to provide our best strategy, but we're more than willing to hop into your ATS and use it. But we're also willing to integrate the two together. We're willing to use our own. It really comes down to what makes the most sense: the size of the project, the number of candidates, the locations of the candidates, the integrations that are necessary. If it's a long scale integration, then maybe we look at other options. But as I mentioned, there's a full menu. You don't have to eat everything on the menu. You can pick and choose what you like.
I'm gonna piggyback on that with a question I came across earlier, Mike, and it's conversations I had with talent acquisition leaders where there might be a misconception about RPO and what is it that you can expect from an RPO. And that particular TA leader, they decided not to go with an RPO solution because their hiring needs was more high volume this year, but they did not expect that high volume to sustain over the long run, and they did not feel that RPO is a good fit for them. So what's your response to that?
It's a really good question. We encounter that quite a bit. It's a misconception from my perspective within the industry. There is the thought process, and if you Google RPO, you're probably going to see a lot of comments that say it's a fully outsourced solution. And so a lot of TA leaders look at that and they sort of get worried. They think, well, shoot, if I have to bring in an outside company and they're going to take over and they're going to, they may help me look good, but it's a big cost and it's a long-term commitment. Sure, there's some of that in RPOs that are full-scale RPOs, but as I mentioned, there's a way to work with. An RPO is meant to deliver your talent the way in which you want it delivered. So a company like Broadleaf is willing to have that conversation and say, okay, great. How long are you looking? So if this is just a cyclical thing for the next 6 months, we'll put together a project that will get you through those 6 months. We're not looking to remain on or stay out there and be a nuisance to you. No, we understand what your hiring needs are. Our hope is that we get through that 6 months. We have great results as a partnership together, and that you're going to look to use us again when your hiring needs pick back up.
Very good. And I know there's a couple other questions from some of the new players probably in the space looking for advice on RPO. And I'm going to take that and say I would highly recommend that you look into the RPO Association website. We have tons of information there and resources to give you some good insight on what a good RPO program looks like. I'm also going to throw in a plug for a new series that the RPO is hosting, and it's an interview with SMEs, subject matter experts in the RPO space. I did recently one with Greg Gray with Broadleaf, and we had a really good conversation about RPO overall, some of these frequently asked questions that some of our audience have today. So I would invite you to go to the RPOA website. Our blog is a good resource. Look into this new series it's called the RPO Expert Series. There's tons of information there, as well as on the RPO Academy and other resources on the website. But with that, we are at the end of our time. So I do wanna thank Mike. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And I do want to thank our participants. This webinar program is monthly. I don't have the webinar for next month, but stay tuned to the RPOA website under events. We do announce our upcoming webinars and panels, and look forward to more events and look forward to seeing you at a future webinar. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Mike.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.